Hello, it is Jamila McMallow, mindset coach for women executives and entrepreneurs. And I'm speaking with you this evening on a very important topic because I think it's something that there are many women um, dealing with this right now. And I really want to speak into you. I'm going to be um, teaching some few things. I have my notes here, and I'm maybe not going to be speaking as quickly as I normally do, but we're going to work through this. And I'm even standing because I want to I get into my stuff. So, true love is real, impossible for you. What if I told you the only thing standing between you and I'm speaking to high performing women, and I'm going to be even more specific, 35 plus, perhaps have been married before and divorced, or have been in long term relationships that have not turned out successful, and you perhaps maybe feel a little bit jaded or a little bit hopeless, like this is never going to happen for me. So this video is for you, because what if I told you that the only thing standing between you being alone and having a good man was what's going on up here? I mean, would you believe that's true? Or have you kind of adopted this predominant way of thinking? If you go online, it's no end to forums and comments and etc. or conversations amongst women talking about all the things that men are doing wrong, and blah blah blah, and all this nonsense, which is basically like a support group for women who just want to complain. So, do you want to complain, or do you want to change your love life? Do you want to completely transform it? Now, I'm not speaking to you as someone who is picked this up from some book and now I'm just reteaching this to you. No, I am speaking from my own personal experience, having done this in my own life, and from having coached 100 plus women, spending hundreds of hours discussing this particular topic over and over and over again. And I'm going to tell you that with all those conversations, with all that coaching, there are some very specific commonalities amongst them all. And you may hear something that sounds like you in here. Now, the first one is it's safer to be alone. Okay. And then the second one is, there's no good men in my age bracket or my area or whatever. Another one that sounds kind of like that is, oh, I'm too old. I have too many kids. I'm too this, I'm too that, whatever. And then the last one is that there's always a history of toxic relationships with men. So I just want to recap that. So the commonalities that I have found coaching 100 plus women, spending hundreds of hours talking to them about this very topic, is that they feel like it's safer emotionally to be alone, sometimes financially. They also feel like the possibility does not exist because there's no good men in my area, or they feel personally that they're just too this or too that. I know several women who have reached a certain age and they've just essentially given up. And my personal opinion is the older you get, the younger he should get, because we move at different speeds, men and women. Now, having a history of toxic relationships with men also is the reason why you feel jaded and why true love is not a possibility for you at this time. Okay. And so I'm going to break this down for you on what the real issue is and what you can do about it. Okay. Because the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the relationship that you want with a good man is your beliefs about said relationship. If you don't believe that you are worthy of it, number one, because that's a big one. There's a lot of women who will say, I want a good man, but deep down don't feel worthy of one. They feel like some part of them, there's some ugly truth or something going on with them that he's going to find out and reject me. And it's just better for me, not to even put myself out there, get disappointed, get hurt, or get rejected. And so, if first of all, if we don't think we're worthy of being in a happy, healthy relationship with a good man, not on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, on a beliefs level, if that's how we really feel about ourselves, then guess what you'll never be in successfully is in a relationship with a good man. Okay. Now, the other thing is, if you have any sort of negative beliefs about men that didn't just come from your toxic relationships, but from childhood. See, sometimes we grew up in a home where maybe our parents' marriage wasn't the best. Maybe our father was not emotionally unavailable. Maybe he was abusive. Maybe he was never around. Maybe he abandoned the family. So as a little girl, you drew some conclusions about men. Oh, men are liars. Men aren't dependable, or they leave. Okay, so these are the beliefs that became the foundation of how you view men. That's the lens that you see them through. That's what's familiar to you. That's what you believe to be true. And if you believe any of that to be true, that is what you're going to be attracted to 10 out of 10 times. And if by chance some good guy slides in there, you're not going to know what to do with him. It's going to feel very foreign, and you're still going to have to work on yourself in order to make that relationship work, because you still have to change your beliefs. Because he could be good, honest, have integrity, all these things, but if your beliefs still scream that all men are liars, deceitful, unreliable, it doesn't matter what this good man does. It'll never jive with what's going on in here. Am I making sense? Let me know. I know it's late on the East Coast, but listen, I've got a 4-year-old and 2-year-old. I got to go live when I can go live, and I'm just happy to be here. Now, the last area that is also standing in your way when it comes to these beliefs is not being clear on what you actually want. See, as women, we can sit around and talk all day long about what we don't like, about what we don't want. But when it's like, well, what do you want? What is it that, would light you up, about being in a relationship with a great guy? And it's like crickets. Oh, well, I want him to have, a 6-figure job, this type of car. Okay, okay. Well, what about his character? What about his qualities? Personality? How does he treat his mother? What's his relationship like with his family? What's his relationship like with money? Is he responsible? You understand what I'm saying? These are the types of things that you want, that you have to be clear on. And so most of the time, for women who don't believe that true love is possible, or keep trying to find it, but it eludes them, it's because you don't even know what it looks like. So you're going out trying to find something you can't recognize. You're going out trying to find a good man when you don't know what that looks like. Because a good man for you is not some generic person. It is very specific to you. And so a part of that clarity is you getting to know you first. And a part of getting to know yourself is digging deep and doing the healing work to deal with the childhood trauma around the relationship with your dad, around the relationship with your mom, around the relationship with your stepfather, stepmother, whomever was your caretakers, and then your environment, your culture, the messaging, the conditioning that you got that told you what was allowed and what was possible for you and your life, what you deserve to have, and what XYZ looked like. All of that has to be healed and really released so that you can have the space to like figure out, what's actual reality? Because let me tell you something, just because you believe these things does not mean they are true. And I can say that for a certainty because they're not. Good men do exist. And every day, women just like you are getting married, they're having families, they're having healthy relationships. So what gives, right? Well, let me back it up a bit, because I told you that this isn't me teaching you from a book. This is also my life experience, right? So I got married very young and totally oblivious to my own trauma, etc., what I was drawn to, what I was attracted to, and ended up being in that relationship for 14 years. It was toxic. It's filled with infidelity, abuse, lying. Okay. And in my mid 30s, he wanted to get divorced. And so that's how the marriage ended, was in divorce. Okay. And it was at that point to where, it like something crazy has to happen to like jar you to your senses, to like wake you up to start looking inward, and I did. So rather than me sitting around complaining about all men, rather than me getting stuck in the phase of bitterness and anger, because anger and bitterness is a phase of the healing process of heartbreak, but some of y'all get stuck there. But it just means you just have to keep going. Okay. And so I went through all of those things. But what I recognized early on was that I had to own the fact that I chose poorly. I chose him, and then stayed and stayed after red flag, after deal breaker, after deal breaker, after deal breaker. I mean, come on. I was a doormat. So I'm sharing that with you to say that I had to own that. I had to own my own stuff. And when I did that, that is what empowered me. That is what gave me control over my future. Who was I now going to allow myself to become in order to have the relationship that I desired, in order to have the marriage that I desired, in order to have the future that I desired? And in that process, I had to make those connections between childhood and that marriage and the present, but not just make the connections, heal the wounds. Okay. Because a lot of y'all are self aware, but self awareness is simply that you're just aware of it. It doesn't mean the problem has been solved. It means, yes, to some degree, you can consciously catch yourself in certain moments and like choose differently, but you will almost always default back to your autopilot setting. And so I say all that to say that I did the work on myself. I got clear on what I wanted. And then because I believe in God, and I prayed and took it to God in prayer and asked him, and I thanked him and expressed gratitude for it because I had absolute certainty that I would receive it, even though I hadn't yet. And sure enough, I met my husband. We'll be 8 years, celebrating 8 years this year. We have 3 beautiful children. One is deceased, but we're raising our little toddlers together, and we're happy. And that's even going through that situation, losing a child and then, dealing with the NICU twice. That brings a lot of stressors on a relationship. But we got through that because we had the foundation right. Okay. We had the fundamentals in place. And me being the only person I can control, I did what I needed to do to be ready to receive that blessing and to be ready to succeed in a relationship with someone who wanted it to succeed as well. Some of you have been in toxic relationship after toxic relationship with a man who has no intention of marrying you, who has no intention of committing himself legally to you or morally before the eyes of God and government. He's not going to do it. But you keep sticking with him. And so you have to be willing to walk away and say, I don't need any man. I'm just happy to have some. Stop. Okay. Because we're going to circle back, because that relates to that belief I mentioned before, that you have to deal with that worthiness issue. You have to believe that you are worthy of being in a happy, healthy relationship with a good man. Okay. So I'm just letting you know that this is what I did. I absolutely attracted real love, and it is real. I just don't know how to express it. You won't know until you feel it and you experience it. And it's not, some pipe dream. And because I can contrast it to was not true love, I can tell you that the past version of me would have never believed a relationship like this was possible. The one I have with my husband right now would have never believed that that was real. Because when you're in a bad relationship, when you're unhappily married, when you have dealt with toxic men, when that's your pattern, when that's your history, you look at other people and you go, yeah, okay. In the back of your mind, you go, that ain't real, or just wait till the other shoe drops, or this. And it's not hating. It's just your belief system does not allow that as a possibility for you. And so therefore you can't acknowledge it or really see it as a possibility for anybody else either. Or worse, you say, well, other people can have it, but I don't get to have it, because that's just, I'm doomed to be alone, or I'm too scared to be hurt, or I don't need no man, blah, blah, blah. Stop lying. you want one. So that's the long and the short of it. The only thing standing between you having a happy, healthy relationship with a good man, the only thing standing between you experiencing and receiving true love is what's going on up here. Your healing, your belief system, and your clarity. That's it. You do those three things, and I'm living proof that I've done it. You don't do those three things, and you're going to be setting yourself up for success and setting yourself up to receive that which you desire. Okay. So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about what you think about that. Oh, hashtag replay. Well, and yeah, and I would just love to hear your thoughts and love to hear if you found this helpful, if you found this useful. I had posted, a few days ago that my program was going to be going up in price. And so that is today. I did raise my prices. But if you would like to talk a little bit further about working with me around this topic of having a happy, healthy relationship with a good man, and maybe you want that for yourself, or maybe you even already have one, but you're still struggling in the relationship and you don't know why. Well, because it wasn't him. All roads lead back to you. That's the only person you can control. That's the only person you can shift and change. And that's the only person that I'm going to be working with. Like, I'm not no marriage counselor, none of that. And whatever your situation, single or already married to a good man, my program helps both scenarios to get the best outcome. All right. So anyway, I will talk to you soon and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.